Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing us another fantasy football video. It's week 17 here, so we're into the fantasy football championships. If you guys are lucky enough to have made it, lucky enough to be in the championship in my biggest money league. Took a pretty sad L in another one today. Obviously, McCaffrey and Kittle went off, and that was not to my benefit. So hopefully you guys made it through. We obviously want to make sure that we're doing everything we can all the way through the rest of the year, which is just one more week for most of you guys, to make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best spot, whether it's going to be blocking our opponents. It's a big thing when you get to the playoffs. Take a look, make sure your opponent, make sure you know what your opponent needs, right? Even if you've got superstar at quarterback, if your opponent just lost, maybe they're streaming Mariota and just lost Marcus Mariota, take a look at the waiver wire, go block them as well. It's just playing defense there is something you can do in the playoffs, so keep that in mind for sure. We're going to go position by position here, just go through the waiver wire ads. Of course, the list is not necessarily as long as it would be earlier on in the year because we're really just looking at guys that can make an impact in week 17. There's no adding someone to stash for the future. There's just no benefit there. If you're not going to maybe start them, they don't really make this list. So we'll go position by position. If you guys have any specific add or drop questions, let me know in the comments below. And let's get into it, guys. Hope you enjoy. We'll start things off with the quarterback position. I think there's four names I want to highlight. We'll start off with Jacoby Brissett. Obviously didn't come through this last week. Hurt me in a league. The league I just lost tonight in. I chose to play him over Drake May. That was clearly a bad decision. It's possible that Jacoby Brissett was either on a losing manager's team this week and he just gets sort of rage dropped, or that for whatever reason he's just still floating out there on waivers and he gets to play Cincinnati next week. I feel really confident that he's going to go out there and bounce back and be a top 12 guy next week. And if he's available for whatever reason and you still need a quarterback going into your championship, I think Jacoby Brissett really can get it done for you guys. Outside of him, Trevor Lawrence, also probably not available, but if he is, he's just playing phenomenal and he gets a matchup with Indy. Indy just looks defeated. Their defense didn't get a stop all day today. I don't think that Trevor Lawrence will really have any difficulty moving the ball against him, and he should be a really solid option as well. Then if you're in a deeper format, there's two guys I'll highlight. Tyler Shuck, just playing really well. Obviously, the competition hasn't been great over the last several weeks, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself with Tyler Shuck there. But the competition's not getting any better this week. They play the Titans this week. Should be a smash matchup for Tyler Shuck. He and Chris Olave clearly have a lot of chemistry. Juwan Johnson's getting it done as well. I think you could stream Tyler Shuck if you had to. And then going one tier lower, if you're super desperate, Josh Johnson, I just want to highlight him. Mobile enough to add a little bit of value on the ground and gets Dallas this next week. I know, he's a third-string quarterback for a reason. I wouldn't expect him to go out there and be dominant for fantasy, but he gets to play Dallas. It's tough to really find a better matchup than that, and especially in a super flex format, I think you could definitely do a lot worse than Josh Johnson. He'd be a pretty easy pivot for you. If you were using Mariota in a super flex, you just want to go to him there. I think it's definitely a decent option. Moving on to running back here, just five names that really stand out. We'll start things off with Blake Corum. He just continues to be incredibly involved. He did get out-touched quite a bit by Kyren last week, but he got the goal line work, scored the touchdown. Really great matchup here against Atlanta next week. The Rams still do want to play and try to win, but they also don't need to force much. Their odds of a 1 seed are pretty low here. They're pretty locked into a wild card spot at this point. With that being the case, that means that generally speaking, it's going to make a lot of sense to them to continue easing or splitting work between Kyren and Corum. Corum should be involved enough that you could use him as a flex or like a low-end running back too. Emmanuel Wilson, Josh Jacobs just keeps playing hurt. Emmanuel Wilson actually outsnapped him, just looked better than him as well this last week. If Josh Jacobs, if they give him a week off, it's not a great matchup this week. They play Baltimore, I believe. But not a bad matchup either. I think Emmanuel Wilson, we just saw Baltimore kind of roll over a little bit this last week. I think Wilson, if Josh Jacobs were to miss, could definitely do all right. Michael Carter, he's the clear lead back right now in Arizona. They did work in Corey Kiner. We also had Amari DiMercado get third down reps, so that's not necessarily super exciting, but they do get to play Cincinnati next week. You could do a lot worse if you're really desperate at like a low-end running back 2 spot. I think Michael Carter's got a shot to end up with like 12 carries and 60 yards and a touchdown. So you could do worse there. Raheem Sanders, I'll just mention him. I think you would need to be really desperate, and you would need Dylan Sampson to remain out. But if Dylan Sampson also misses this next game, we saw Quinshon Judkins go down to a really devastating leg injury last week. Sanders is going to be the next man up there. They get to play Pittsburgh, which is not a fantastic matchup by any means. They obviously just shut down the Lions' run game. So I don't love it. But again, deeper formats, if you're really desperate, like a 14-team league, you have Josh Jacobs and he misses this week or something, and you just got to go to somebody. Sanders is widely available, and you could use him. I think Chris Rodriguez as well plays Dallas. We're going to target the Dallas matchup, especially with a third string quarterback. It would make a lot of sense to them to try and lean on their running game. And Chris Rodriguez honestly just looks good, so I have to mention him. Um, didn't put him on here as well, but keep an eye on Malik Davis. We saw him actually get quite a bit of work this last week. Javonte Williams was limited in practice all week last week, limited again here on Monday. So I just keep an eye on it. Like if Javonte were to miss a game here, which maybe it makes sense, right? He's in a 1 year deal. Maybe they want to see what they have in Malik Davis. There's just a chance that if Javonte were to miss this game, Malik Davis would probably go out there and be a really solid option. So keep an eye on him. And then I guess one more mention as well. Probably rostered, but Ramondre Stevenson, if for whatever reason he's not rostered, they get to play the Jets this week. You had Travion Henderson go out with a concussion. If Travion Henderson were to miss the game, I think Ramondre would probably be like a top 15 play next week. At wide receiver, 5 names I'm going to mention. I'll start off with Parker Washington, just playing really well. He's obviously not going to go out there for 140 and a touchdown, but he's a good player. He gets to play Indy this next week. Indy is just not good anymore. It's really sad to see what happened to Indy. I'm sorry if you're a Colts fan, you got really teased this season because they looked like a legitimate contender, and now they're kind of screwed for the next several years because they aren't going to make the playoffs and they don't have draft picks. So really tough spot to be in there, but I think Parker Washington's in a great spot. Should be a guy that you could definitely use in your flex if you have to. Luther Burden, I want to mention him. They got a fun matchup here with San Francisco next week. Really important matchup as well. And between him and Rome, I think he's got a better shot to play. And if he plays and Rome Odunze misses, I think Luther Burden's a guy you could certainly play in your flex. They'll manufacture touches for him. I think he's a good player. So with that, I think you could definitely get some benefit there. Mac Hollins, it's really gross, but Kayshon Boutte got banged up again. Mac Hollins is continuously involved in this offense. They use him downfield quite a bit as well, and they get the Jets next week. So if you were really desperate, again, like 2 flex, 3 wide receiver format, Mac Hollins could go in there and get 6 targets. Maybe you come down with a big catch. Chimere DK, I want to mention him. Matchup with the Saints is not fantastic, but it's not bad either. I just think DK is a good player. He's obviously a threat to maybe return a kick for a touchdown. You'll at least get the points for that. If you get return yardage, you should obviously be rostered already. They're manufacturing some touches for him. Scored a touchdown again this last week. I think you could do worse than him. And then one more return guy, but also just another explosive player, Rashid Shaheed. He's getting more and more involved in Seattle. JSN likely going to draw JC Horn this next week. Not that I think anyone can really slow JSN down, but there will be more opportunities opposite there for Rashid Shaheed. So if you had to go there, I think Shaheed could be a deeper league flex option where you're just praying for a big touchdown this week. Moving on to tight end, I'll highlight 4 names here, and I'm going to start off with the annual recommendation of Taysom Hill as a waiver wire ad at tight end. It's dumb, but he's basically a starting running back for the Saints right now with all the injuries they've had. They play the Titans. It's not a horrible matchup, and you can play Taysom Hill at tight end. So, he also threw a touchdown this last week. There's just a lot of opportunities there for Taysom Hill to find the end zone. Especially, last year, this could be it for Taysom Hill. He could be retiring. The Saints are probably trying to do right by him as well, using him so much. I could just see a world where he ends up being, annoyingly valuable for fantasy. So keep an eye on him. Brenton Strange as well. We're going to keep targeting that matchup here with Indy. He's a good player. Indy, not a good matchup, or not a bad matchup at all. We just had George Kittle absolutely go off. Ton just should have had a touchdown. Just they didn't challenge it, and then McCaffrey scored afterwards. So you can definitely score as a tight end against Indianapolis. Colston Loveland, he's a good player. He's got a fun matchup here next week against San Francisco. I think it'll be a lot faster paced of a game than what we had against Green Bay this last week, especially with the injury to Jordan Love mid-game. So I should just be more volume in general. Loveland's got a shot to PPR as way to being relevant. And then Dalton Schultz keeps producing. They do get a relatively tough matchup next week against the Chargers, but he seems to be the clear number 2 target in the offense behind Nico. So if you have to play another tight end there, Dalton Schultz, I think you could do worse than there. And last, but certainly not least, we're going to go through some defenses we can play. I'll start things off with New Orleans. They get Tennessee this next week. They're actually playing really well as well. Tennessee has picked it up a little bit on offense over the last couple of weeks, so you don't have to play New Orleans by any means, but I wouldn't be worried about playing them either. Pittsburgh gets Cleveland next week. Pittsburgh played phenomenal on defenses last week. I want to give them credit there. Cleveland, obviously, they've been up and down with Sanders, but there's just a lot of turnover-worthy plays with him. Takes a lot of sacks. I think you could do a lot worse there than Pittsburgh. And honestly, you might get T.J. Watt back for that one. For the Lions, their season's on the line here. I know the defense has been horrendous, but they play Minnesota this next week, and if J.J. McCarthy ends up missing, the Lions get to play Brosner. Brosner's not going to go out there and do anything, so I think you could definitely play them. The Jaguars, really good defense that maybe just got dropped last week because they played the Broncos. They're probably going to face Anthony Richardson next weekend or next week. I don't know that for sure. I'm saying this Monday night. We just saw the Colts lose. The Colts are out of the playoffs. There's no reason for them to play Phillip Rivers over the next 2 weeks, so they really should be playing Anthony Richardson to see if there's anything there, if he's healthy, right? So just keep an eye on it. I just think that in general, the Jaguars are going to be a good matchup regardless, but especially if you see either Riley Leonard or Anthony Richardson, they'll definitely do great. The Rams, they play the Falcons next week. Maybe they got dropped because somebody was scared about Seattle. The Patriots play the Jets. That's obviously phenomenal. You're going to use them if they're available. And the Broncos, they play the Chiefs. The Chiefs just looked anemic on offense this last week. Lost Gardner Minshew as well, so it's only going to get worse there. The Broncos are an elite defense. They're coming off a loss. They're going to try and bounce back here. The Chiefs are probably going to get annihilated on Thursday, I believe. So Broncos could get you started off the week pretty right here. So that'll do it for waiver wire action this week. Up next, we'll get into starts and sits. We've got 16 games to cover this week, a full weekend slate of football, right? We got Thursday night, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday football this week. We also got Christmas, obviously, on Thursday. So lots to look forward to this week. I'll try and get videos out, probably both of them coming out on Wednesday, just because I don't want to be recording stuff on Christmas, obviously. So I will get those out for you guys, get you guys all locked and loaded. And then, of course, if you end up with any specific questions, whether it be on waivers or starts and sits, just let me know in the comments to this video or the ones to put out later in the week. I'll get you guys set up and hopefully bring home some championships for you guys. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.